What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Now, before we get into today's video, I've firstly got to say a huge thank you for 500,000 subscribers. Honestly, never thought we'd get anywhere near this number, but it's just incredible. Thank you so much, guys. But that doesn't mean we stop here, you know. We're only halfway there. 1 million is the ultimate goal. Yeah, we've got a long way to go. Now, let's have a look at this very lovely bar chart in my YouTube analytics. So this column shows those of you watching right now who are subscribed to my channel. You're an absolute legend, thank you very much. But then you over here, you guys, you're not subscribed, but you're still watching. I can't have that, you know. We've got to try and get to 1 million quickly. It's a long way to go, but we can get there quickly, I'm sure. So please, if you are in this column, considering hitting the button, you know, it takes 2 seconds. You can move over into this column and be in my good books, and I'll love you for it. So yeah, do that. And anyway, let's jump into the first story. But in all seriousness, guys, thank you for 500,000. Absolutely insane. Entitled Aunt wants me to take in cousin who will get out of prison, even though she refuses to take him in. I got custody of my niece, who's 6, and my nephew, who is 7, a few months ago before quarantine happened, from the death of their parents, before you start asking. Now, my family has mixed feelings on this, so I'm getting your opinions, but I'm sure I made up my mind. My cousin was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder, what people call psychopathy or sociopathy. Now, he was put in prison for assault with a deadly weapon 5 years ago and had to pay a fine. His ASPD diagnosis makes a lot of sense to me, because when he was younger, he enjoyed torturing animals and was basically the textbook serial killer in the making. When we were younger, he put a camera in my bathroom that my twin brother found before I went in there. He tried to smother me, his little sister, and attempted to kill our family dog. My cousin's sister's mother, we'll call her Julia, refused to take the fact that he attempted to kill us seriously, and I was too scared to file a police report after all this. I was more relieved when I found out that he was sent to prison than sad, unlike his mum, who was apparently sobbing at the court hearing. So, my cousin is set to be released in August of this year. His mother, Julia, and several other family members have been refusing to let him into their homes because of his track history. His mother has been begging my twin brother and me to reconsider our stance. She apparently found me on social media after I cut her out of my life for different reasons not pertaining to my cousin. When making our decision, my twin brother and I took into account the fact he slipped a camera into my bathroom, the fact that he tried to kill me when we were children, the fact that my twin and I are now sharing a room, and that my niece and nephew are in the other. I'm sure that this man will become a serial killer later in life because of the path he's taking. My mum, surviving brothers, Julia, and several other family members are on my twin and I's side. However, several other family members are calling us cruel and to just let him stay on the couch until he can get his footing. However, for the safety of myself, my niece and nephew, and my twin brother, we are a firm no. Yeah, I think that is the most cut and dried no I've ever seen. Clearly, you don't want a potential serial killer, someone who has the tendencies of a young serial killer. Let's be honest, OP, you're absolutely right. Anywhere near your home, not just for your own safety, but obviously for the safety of your niece and nephew as well. That's just crazy. There's literally nothing more for me to say apart from that. It's an obvious no. The fact that your aunt is saying to you to let him in, but then is not willing to take him herself, yeah, that just proves my entire point. Moving quickly on now, Entitled Parent goes to Native Drum Circle, tells Native Chief to stop the event and take off his headdress because it's traumatizing her child. For some background, when my little brother was in Boy Scouts, he had this best friend named Max. Max was cool, but his parents are horrid. They are racist, ignorant, and entitled. Sadly, they also ran the local Boy Scouts. So, one day the Boy Scouts have an outing. We went to the local natives reserve. I often tagged along since my mum and Entitled Parents are friends. That day, the natives were holding a really fun drum circle / coming of age ceremony. If some of you have never gone, it's basically this. People singing, banging drums, big fire, all in all a good time. The natives start by doing the coming of age ceremony. At this ceremony, the people coming of age are given chewing tobacco. Immediately, the entitled parents start yelling about how it was disgusting and young people should not be given tobacco. Meanwhile, they always give their much younger kids alcohol. Next, the natives start singing and dancing. It's beautiful, but the entitled parents don't think so. The mum starts screaming that the dancing was too savage, terrifying, and ungodly. Then she actually gets up and walks through the circle up to the chief. She is stopped by a nice young man who asks her to sit down. She ignored him and her eyes narrow at the chief. "You need to stop all this." She waves her hands. "It's scaring my kid. You are traumatizing him. This is inappropriate for kids. Take off that silly costume." Like, you brought the 20 kids here, woman. They did not invite you. Also, I'm sitting next to my younger brother and Max. They are both enjoying themselves and talking about Egyptian pyramids. The chief rolls his eyes and says nothing. The nice man asks her again to sit down. She starts to scream again, but notices the many disapproving eyes on her. It was not just the Boy Scouts visiting the event, but lots of the local community. She walks back and sits down, steaming. The Boy Scouts never went back, and in a couple of years, the entitled parents were kicked out of Boy Scouts for cheating and emotionally abusing the kids. Well guys, I'll be honest, the first two stories today have been pretty mad. Yeah, again, they don't seem like the sort of parents that should be running a Boy Scouts. Just the opposite of what you'd want from a leader of young children. Am I wrong there? I don't know. I don't really understand why they chose to go to this ceremony if they clearly knew they were going to hate it. I mean, it's good for the kids. Obviously, they're enjoying it. I would love that sort of thing. It's, you know, it's great to learn about other people's culture, and it just sounds like a good old time. But then, I don't know why they're complaining. Surely you know what that sort of ceremony is gonna be before you go? I'm done. Now guys, unfortunately, the titles don't get any better as we move into our third story. Mum claims that I was starving her daughter at a homeless shelter because she didn't like the food. What is this episode? A few years ago, I used to work at a homeless shelter for single women and women with children. Their length of stay depended on many factors, and to be able to stay, they had to work on getting housing and a job if they didn't have one. They could be kicked out for a few different things, such as taking drugs, harassing staff or others, not obeying the rules, etc. We served them breakfast and dinner, with them having to get lunch on their own as we were not a day shelter, and they needed to go out and look for housing and a job during the day. For a while, I was overseeing about 30 women and children that were staying with us. The entitled mother of this story was with us for about a month. She had 2 teen daughters, one of which, entitled Teen, was a really picky eater. I took them to the dining hall every night where our food was decent, way better than school food, but not great. I personally have eaten the food quite a few times myself. But the entitled Teen refused to eat anything that was served, so the entitled mum bought tons of cup noodles and microwavable food. They did not have access to a microwave, but I did in the back that staff used, and we were allowed to heat up stuff for the clients. After a while, it became too much for me to handle on top of all my other duties, as now I had the entitled mum's kids coming up to me multiple times a night to heat up food. Her other daughter would eat our food, but still wanted a cup of noodles alongside the entitled teen. I talked to my boss about this, and she told me that I could put a ban on the microwave for food they brought in, and they were not even supposed to bring in more food than a day's worth as there was no room. We had canned and microwavable food in the back in case someone came in late and missed dinner time, but I was not to give it out to anyone who was there for dinner and did not like the food. The entitled teen asked me a few times if I could give her some of that food and would get mad and give me attitude when I told her that I couldn't. Soon after the ban, the entitled mum started claiming that I was starving her daughter. I told her the rules and that her daughter had plenty of opportunities to eat. We serve 2 meals a day, plus I know the entitled teen gets 3 meals at school. I have the authority to kick people out if the need be, but I did not have the heart to throw 2 teens out on the streets. One night, the entitled mum got so fed up with me starving her daughter that she started screaming at me in front of everyone. "You are starving my daughter! This is BS and we are leaving!" Her entitled teen tried to calm her down. "Mum, it's okay. You're embarrassing me. We can't leave. Where would we go?" "Go back to the room. We're packing and leaving." They ended up staying the night, and since it was a Friday, I had the next 2 days off. We had to fill out shift reports at the end of every shift, and I wrote down what had happened. When I showed up to work on Monday, they had been kicked out by my boss, who told me that I should have kicked them out for that. The entitled mum had been having a horrible attitude towards other staff as well, and that should have been the last straw. By the way, we did not starve anyone, but if you chose not to eat the food we offered, then that is not our fault. Absolutely not, OP. I would not say that for a a single second. I mean, you're offering them 2 free meals per day on top of the lunch meal that they get for free as well at school. That's like all your meals free, obviously, in a day. I don't really understand how they can be turning down food at that point. It's literally free. All I'll say is, if you are turning down free food, then you should not be in a homeless shelter. I'm sorry. You are literally being selfish and taking the place of someone that, you know, needs that food way more than you. I don't know, just surely be a bit more grateful for what you're being given for free, by the way. Again, it's free food, rather than saying, oh, I don't like this trash, I'm just going to go and buy my own. Well, if you can buy your own, you don't belong here, sorry. Moving on to our final story, a little bit more lighthearted now. Karen thinks COVID isn't real, get sneezed on. This honestly probably belongs on r/petty revenge, but it was pretty entitled, so I'm putting it here. Oh, by the way, that reminds me, I will be putting out a revenge video in the next few days. For some context, I'm currently en route to Oak Island for my grandparents' 50th anniversary, and my family stopped at a rest stop along the way. We ordered some food, and as we were leaving, I noticed a mum with her 2 kids screaming about how COVID-19 isn't real, and how she doesn't need a mask to enter the store. As she kept ranting, my family kind of snuck past her to the exit. When I was right next to her, I did an obnoxious fake sneeze into my elbow and watched her face go white. She grabbed her kids and hightailed it out of there. That was pretty much the only worthwhile thing I've done during quarantine, and the employee standing outside gave me a thumbs up as I left. The guy looked really tired, so PSA time, please make life easier and cooperate with these people. They work long hours and deserve better than they have been getting. Thanks for reading. Yeah, OP, that is a really good point. I mean, imagine having to deal with people like this every single day. It would just get so tiring. Especially when this woman is not even abiding by the law, wearing a face mask, and there's a deadly disease going around. It can't be a great environment in which to work. The interesting thing about this story, though, for me, is that she clearly knows that she should be wearing a mask. I mean, you did a fake sneeze and she got scared. She left. Therefore, she knows the dangers of sneezing, of breathing, that sort of thing, you know, contamination. Why not just put your mask on like everyone else? It just doesn't work if one person doesn't do it and everyone else does. That's not the point. It's just ridiculous. It's so ignorant. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this Entitled Parents episode. Again, a massive thank you for 500,000 subscribers. It's absolutely nuts. Never in my life did I think I'd get that many subscribers. It is so mind-blowing, but yeah, appreciate it, guys. You know, it's weird, just all of you watching all the videos, it doesn't sound like much, but I just massively appreciate it. It makes what I do sustainable, so thank you. Again, if you want more, straight away, stuff on screen. Also, if you aren't subscribed, even though I've been saying about it this entire video, please hit that button. Yeah, it's a long way to go now, but a million's only around the corner. So there you go. And also, finally, to those of you that may have your own YouTube channels, let me just tell you this. The first 1,000 subscribers is way harder than getting to 10k, getting to 100k, getting to a million. Trust me, the first 1,000 is the hardest. So if you haven't got there yet, keep working hard, and trust me, once you get there, you will start to fly.